All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Sounds working. Good. So, pro tip when you're testing your sound, make sure your sound testing thing's plugged in. For a moment there, I had no sound and it was all my fault. Grace Isis, welcome. Peachy, hello. Cody Hill, good to see you. Yeah, I went ahead and touched it up. It's getting a little fuzzy. Hey, Born, good to see you too. All right. So the bad news is this is going to be a solo. Linda had a last minute emergency happen on some errands, and then to boot, she had car trouble. So she's having one of those Murphy Law days. You know what I mean? Now don't go blowing up YouTube. We kind of need that. Evening, Rust. Good to see you. So this won't be the normal chaotic crazy that the magical coffee hour normally is, but hey, we still got coffee. Well, that's awesome to hear, Cody. I was fairly certain I hadn't seen your name in the live streams yet. I hope you're enjoying my work. Hey, Jacob, good to see you. If I may ask, Cody, which draconian deity did you work with? And I know draconian magic and dragon magic differ a little bit, but I'm always interested in that stuff. Actually, who are we kidding? If it's magic, I'm interested in it. Oh, well, I can see your. Yeah, I've been there, Cody. I have. I can think of two entities I worked with for a long time, and I wasn't fully sure who they were. They were just kind of off in the distance there. I knew they were there. I knew they were trying to work with me. I knew they were trying to get my attention. And it took a while, but I finally nailed them both down and figured out who they were. So I've been there. It's a frustrating and confusing spot to be in. Witchy Blub, good to see you. Hello, hello. So yeah, since Linda's not here to be throwing me under buses and embarrassing me and making my bald head turn and all the stuff that you all have come accustomed to. Hello, Jamie. Found me yesterday. Awesome to hear. Awesome. For all you new people who are just finding me, this probably ain't the best thing to be mentioning. Well, it is and it isn't. But in my live stream Friday, I told everybody through sharing the videos in the channel, if we can get the subscriptions up to 5,000 by Samhain, that I am going to let my wife decide what my costume for a live stream will be. She can do my makeup, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a no holds bar as long as it's okay with YouTube standards. That's the one limitation. And after that stream, I immediately got off and I emailed her to let her know what I had done. And my wife's response to this is, "That is very interesting. I'm glad I have plenty of time to think about it." And the worst comment she made, "I think I may have to get Linda's help on this." So I don't know what I have just done to myself. But if we get to 5,000, Lord only knows what I'll be looking like on a live stream come Samhain. I don't know if she's emailed Linda yet. I haven't told Linda. And if Linda gets a chance to watch this playback, I guess she'll find out now. But I know, right? Born, you are not kidding. Those two are conniving alone. The putting them together, I may have done screwed up. I know at least one female video game character has already been mentioned. But that's about all I know. But I am a man of my word. So it will happen. No problem, Will. Good to see you, man. Yeah, I have. But you know what? They met in boot camp. I met Linda because of my wife, so clearly we know the loyalties are going to go that direction. My wife's actually the one who recommended Linda for the original Magic Coffee Hour setup, so it's paid off dividends. All right, so anybody got any questions that they want me to tackle? If not, I actually do have a topic I was going to try and talk about a little bit. Hey, Stacy, good to see you. Well, with Linda missing, I'm not going to steal her topic. I wouldn't do it no good. But if you're asking what I'm drinking, I'm actually drinking Skulls of My Enemies from Iron Bean Coffee. It's a dark roast, and it is freaking awesome. Or wait, is this one a medium? This one's like a medium to dark. It's right in that sweet spot between the two. I don't get paid to tell you what it is or anything. I mean, I drink enough of their coffee. They should probably, flip me a dime or two. But if you haven't tried Iron Bean, give them a shot. They're great. Great company. So this one, let's see, my favorites currently, because I'm just basically going through their whole line trying them. And some of them I have to keep in the house on the regular because I just fell in love with them. And Skulls is one. Fear No Evil is my other one. That's my other go-to, which it's a black roast. It's actually darker than a dark roast, and it is good. If you enjoy dark roast coffee, Fear No Evil is a good one. That's actually a really good question, Jamie. That is. And I'm not sure I can speak for Ascended Masters specifically, but the others, they actually enjoy the friendships and building those relationships. I've noticed most entities actually prefer to have a genuine relationship instead of just like the classical deity relationship most people think of is, I'm going to say a prayer to you and I'm going to tip my hat to you. But the only time we're really going to spend time together is when I need something. So deities definitely They love the opportunity to build a real relationship where they can just sit and talk with someone. And it is very much a friendship. And I find that they actually tend to share more and help more that way. And I know dragons specifically, since they're not really big on worship on any kind, they actually do value the friendship and the respect over all else. Now, the why we're seeing such a larger increase on it. I'm sorry for the cough. My allergies are kicking my butt today. I honestly think they're trying to get to the point to where they can reach out, communicate with us better, and hopefully teach us so that we can grow, and I guess you might even say ascend ourselves. But it's more about just getting humans in general to grow and progress. I think we're at kind of that next step, whatever that may be. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Well, Jamie, I love talking. I'm Southern, so you got questions, throw them at me. I'll answer them or do the best I can. You could use moon water to help charge crystals. Just make sure it's not a water soluble crystal. That would be my biggest thing. My personal preference for charging crystals is I charge them directly. I actually push the energy in myself. Um, I'm not a big hurry up and wait kind of guy, so I like to just get it done. Otherwise, I'll just set them in a windowsill at a moon or even sunlight. Sunlight is really good for charging crystals. But if you're using water or liquid of any kind, make sure the stone or crystal will not dissolve in water. I've done that once. It was not fun. Yeah, Mathis, Linda's away. Sadly, she had to run some errands and then her car broke down on her. So she was unavoidably detained by Murphy's Law. And she sends her best to y'all, and she's sorry she missed you. And I'm sure she's sorry she gets to pick on me tonight. Which we know that means she'll probably pick on me twice as much next week. Yeah, Jamie, you are correct. Anytime, if energy and the multiverse has taught me anything, it is truly that everything is connected. I don't care how vaguely it may be connected, it is connected. Therefore, if anything moves up along that progression line, it's going to move everything else connected with it up as well. True, something might move up faster and further, but technically speaking, everything is still moving upward. So, yeah, the ascension of one is the ascension of all, which is a pretty groovy thing. Now, the exact details of how that's going to overall work in the long term, I'm not even going to pretend to know. I know a lot about the multiverse, and it still confuses me. In fact, every time I get a question answered, it's like, here's your answer. By the way, here's 50 more questions. Okay, I'm glad you put the LO in there. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that one dissolves. Selena is not water friendly. I'm pretty sure that's the one I dissolved, actually. I put it in my journal a few years back when it happened. I'll have to look one of these days and check now. Anti-rain spell, I would actually the way I usually go for anti-rain to stop like flooding rains and stuff is I usually do the Dragon's Flame ritual, and then I specifically call on the air dragons, and I utilize a yellow candle, and I actually do seek a change of the weather because they work real heavy in weather. The air dragons do. Um, that would usually be the route I would go. And even if you don't work with dragons, a yellow candle spell is a great way to do it. And what I would do is when you light the yellow candle, don't just charge it to stop the rain and stop the flooding or whatever the problem is. But once you light it, I want you to gaze into the flame. And as you're gazing into the flame, I want you to actually see the exact weather you want, as if it's already there. You already got it. And hold that visualization for 5 minutes or so. And at that point, you can either blow the candle out. And as you do, though, breathe energy into it. So you're giving back to the candle. At which point the candle will work as both a talisman to draw that to you, and you can repeat the spell the next night, or let the candle burn completely down. I know that breaks the traditional taboo people hear about never blow out a spell candle, but as long as you're putting that energy into it and creating that talisman, I found that is a wonderful way to use a single candle for long-term magic. But since it sounds like you're wanting something quicker, I just let the sucker burn down. What's up with the runes on my arm? I actually work with the runes and the Norse a lot. And when I studied Norse magic, I decided I wanted a way to make sure I had all the runes with me at all times. So I actually got the entire Elder Futhark tattooed in order in their 3/8 on my arm, so that I do have them, and each of them does actually work as a spell tattoo in and of itself. So it's kind of a functional grimoire tattoo if you really want to get to it. Yeah, Linda was a little upset when she found out. She was always trying to figure out what runes said. So when she found out it was literally just the runes in alphabetical order, she was a little upset. She was, that's not fair. Mathis, no, I do not. I tried to cut back on coffee one time, and my wife basically started pouring coffee down me after day 3. And I'm not sure she'll ever let me try it again. Apparently, I've become a grumpy Gus without my coffee. But if I was to do it again, I would say replace the coffee with something else. So try tea, like green tea or even black tea. They're going to have less caffeine, and they can kind of fill that vice for you a little bit. That'd be the route I'd go if I went to try it again. Do not replace it with sugar. No, dragon magic actually isn't unique in that. It's kind of interesting because when I went to Norse magic to study it deeper, I was really expecting Odin and Freya, because they're the first two that reached out for me, to just hand me this worship list. This is how you're going to worship us. And to my surprise, neither one did it. And because I had the whole conversation in my head. I was totally planned to just tell Odin outright, I don't plan to worship. That's not my style. But they didn't. And then every Norse deity I've worked with since, they've just been really great with building that genuine relationship and getting to know me, as opposed to the whole altar and worship concept. Now, that said, I do treat them as a friend, so that, giving a gift of something like you would with hospitality, So let's say I'm doing evocation work. That's the same as inviting them over to my house. So as a good host, I should have something to offer, which as a Southerner, that's pretty easy for me. And many of the demons and angels I've worked with, they seem to be totally okay. I've never had any of them really go against that. Now I will say, in the few voodoo low I've worked with, they're not as chill on that concept. And most of the Greek and Egyptian deities are real heavy on their worship. Like Ra, me and Ra don't get along because he's all about the worship. He likes his worship. He likes everything to be done the way he wants it done. And that's just not my style. So me and him don't get along too well. So there are other entities out there that do it. But dragons they definitely do take the lead in the fact not only do they not want to be worshipped, but they really don't. You even call a deity or a god or something, and they're going to kind of look at you sideways like, I'm not a god. I mean, they won't get offended, but at the same time, they're like, no. So it's kind of interesting there. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. When I say I don't worship deities, I treat them as my equals, but there is a great deal of respect because, like Odin knows a lot of crap I don't know, and I totally respect that. And I'm willing to listen to his wisdom. There's some. I have heard there are some places you can hunt geodes in Virginia. I haven't got out to any of them yet. I probably should. Yeah, Yahweh digs his worship. He really does. Ross, I would agree with you. Most entities really aren't big on the groveling side because even the ones that I've noticed do like worship, if the worship crosses over to groveling, they lose their taste for it. It's been my experience. Most entities are actually more interested in building us up and empowering us. Jamie, there's actually good, solid thoughts behind that. That's actually crap. Forgot my phone. Sorry, people. For example, there's actually many people who think Odin himself was once a human shaman who ascended. It don't really fit with the mythology and some of the other stuff, but at the same time, I do see where that line of logic comes from. And when we start talking about the multiverse and different planes, and these are beings that could have ascended from a physical realm that's not of our own. Yeah, I mean, the possibility of that even gets higher. So yeah, I've juggled that theory around more than a time or two, and I haven't ever dismissed it. Because there's a lot of things that I have seen that work exactly like that. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't have enough evidence to say this is how it is, but at the same time, I don't have anything to show it's inaccurate either. Well, enlightened means a lot of things to a lot of different people, Mathis. Um, but to most, it's reaching a state of knowledge, peace, spiritual balance, and perfection, where one ascends from the human state to a more spiritual state. And some say that that's the point where you break out of the cycle of reincarnation. So, I mean, it's kind of that. And then some people just consider it reaching that perfect self where you have achieved true full mastery of yourself in all ways. So enlightenment's viewed different ways, but it usually does tie into ascending to a higher spiritual state in some way. But that is one of the words where we have so many definitions. Yeah, I mean, Jamie's got a point. You could consider enlightenment just being open-minded, which this day and age it really could be, because open-mindedness is something that's harder and harder to find these days. So that progression would definitely be viewed as an enlightenment to the majority now. I mean, when I was little, you could disagree with people. It was great. You could sit down, you could discuss, you could disagree, and no one got mad. It was kind of nice. But that's getting rare. Although I will say, since starting this channel, I have been so happy to see the amount of my viewers who are willing to share their views, their ideals, and their theories, and no one gets upset. Everyone just discusses it openly and rationally. It's been a real blessing for me to get to see that. So, well, Jamie in here for her first time, sharing her theories, which Jamie, like I said, I have to agree with you. That's a very high possibility. So, and that's the reason you always hear me talk about your path, because one thing that's always bothered me since I started studying magic was, since everything's done one way and it has been done that way, no one wants to change it. No one wants to build on it. It's just, we got it, let's stick with it. But if that's all you got, you never grow. Hey, Halloween, good to see you. No problem being late at all. Actually, if I went to take a shower anytime before stream, I'd probably get lost. I do not know, Mathis. I would have to check. I'm not even sure I've worked with Yada Both. That would be something I'd have to do some research and probably some evocation work to see. And I mean, my work with Samael has been somewhat limited until my Clefothic path workings and research. Oh, that's why the name looked familiar, but I didn't recognize it. Okay. No, Samael is not Yahweh. That I know. Before he left the heavens, Samael was viewed as one of the top angels. And unclear exactly what his role was, though many do place him as the angel of death at the time. And I know that sounds horrible, but he was the one that was sent to collect those whose time it was to pass on. And now people view him as one of the entities in the Qliphoth, which he is still very angelic even in the Qliphoth. And some people even associate him with Lucifer, though I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure I agree with that connection either. I'm still building my opinions on that one. Because, like I said, I've not worked with him enough, but the energies between him and Lucifer felt so different that I'm hard-pressed to say it's a different master face. But that's one reason I'm really looking forward to getting back into that path working I started at the beginning of the year. And Lilith and Samuel put me on a hiatus till fall. But I do know that he's not Yahweh. I've actually argued with the two of them at the same time. Well, now that's a Matrix style question right there. And in some metaphysical theories, it very much is viewed as a simulation, because it's kind of like the physical realm is where the spiritual realm goes to, in a twisted way, I guess you could even say vacation or take a time out. So they get away from their day-to-day normal spiritual realm stuff and experience this. But as far as it is it a full-on simulation as we know simulations? I don't know. And so that's part of me, that's the nerd in me, because a simulation to me is not real. It doesn't really accomplish much. Whereas depending on how real something is, you could actually learn a lot from it. So then that starts questioning what is reality. And that goes down a philosophical rabbit hole we could spend a week on and never get nowhere. Though you show up with some good rum, and I'll light the smoker, and trust me, we can spend the whole week smoking steak and ribs and drinking rum and discussing that topic, and we'll never run out of stuff to talk about. Hello from Puerto Rico. And, well, hello to your mom, too. Nice. I'm glad you're both watching. That is really cool to me, actually. Yeah, there are actually Caribbean and tropical dragons. There really are. In fact, there's actually one dragon I was working with that's going to be part of one of the classes. I want to say it's going to be the 102 Dragon Magic class. Personality, dialect, accent, even the type of food and wardrobe they were wearing, totally Caribbean. And she was a hoot to work with. I loved her to death. Yeah, so there definitely are. Most of them fall into the category of air and water, though you will find some of the earth and fire ones that also really dive into that Caribbean style. But there definitely are. Okay, Mathis, let me see if I can explain that one. We are individuals, but we are still all connected to the same energy web. So that singular web of existence we are connected in as one, but we are individuals. Does that make sense? Because I know it sounds like I just contradicted myself the whole way through that. No problem. Is that Ella from? Ella from? I'm sorry if I butcher your name. My Southern twang kills me. Halloween, since we've what we call entities or creatures of lore, fae, demons, would that extend? Is Cthulhu out there too? Okay. This has actually been a fascinating topic of discussion with magicians, the Necronomicon, Cthulhu, and all those entities. And I did a short working for a while where I was trying to work with certain entities from that mythos, and I was getting results. I was getting really strong results. Now, that was before my progression into evocation work. So one thing I am wanting to do, and I actually want to do it this year, by the way, is I actually want to go back and work in evocation with those entities to see, because I actually do think there are entities out there that was communicating with Lovecraft. So I don't know that necessarily the stories themselves are true, but I do think the entities attached to the stories are real in some way, if that makes sense. But at this point in time, other than other magicians telling me, yes, these are totally real entities, and they've worked with them, I haven't had a personal experience yet. Outside spell workings I did, which I got. But then again, you could just be working with those energy patterns too. So I need to do vocation research to say for sure. But at this point in time, from the magicians I've talked to and the results I got, I am leaning toward the side that, yeah, they're very, very possibly very real entities. Jamie, yes, there are tree dragons. They would fall under the earth element. But yeah, there are tree dragons, and they're actually very interesting looking. Most of them actually appear to look like your standard dragon, except instead of scales, they're covered in bark, moss, branches, and leaves. There's a time or two I mistook one of them for a decorative plant instead of an actual dragon, but they're out there. Yeah, Born, that's the general ideal, is that they told, whether it was just the dreams they presented or whether they went directly to him and said, write something about us, in which case I will be sharing that in the research and ramblings. So I was actually hoping to get it started by now, but obviously getting the Dragon Magic class up and everything derailed some of my plans. But that's okay. It's all cool. That's the fun part of doing what I do. You never know what tomorrow's going to hold. Again, when we're talking about the all being part of source, that is something that a lot of people do think, and we're all pieces of source experiencing different things and working our way back to source. I'm not 100% sure where I stand on that just yet, Mathis. I do know energetically everything's connected. I don't know if we're all part of the same source. Even in my research with the void in dragon magic, everything's created in the void and comes out of it, but doesn't ever say that we're all part of that source and that that particular source has any sentience in and of itself. It's just more of a creative matter, antimatter place. So I don't know. I really don't on that one. I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons I'm working so much with soul travel is I'm hoping to track that back far enough to find out more. Yeah, Halloween, I agree. There was way too much detail, and just when you read them, you get a sense of presence. So it's kind of hard to believe it was just made up. Cody, the smallest dragon I have personally seen was about the size of a small butterfly. So what was that? About the size of a quarter, maybe a silver dollar tops, is which is pretty tiny. Hello, Demon Wolf. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I can promise that. When I go to do my research on that, I can promise I will not sacrifice people. Won't do. I don't have the face for tentacles. And yeah, I'm not going to be psychic Squidward. This is psychic. That's great. That's great. Oh my god. You know what? If I do work with Cthulhu now, it's gonna be so freaking hard not to think of that when I do the evocation. He's gonna pop up. I'm gonna start laughing. It's gonna be bad. Oh god. Thanks for that, Born. The hatchlings are generally the ones that are really super tiny. You won't see those very often unless they're around a guardian dragon who's babysitting them. And that's because dragons are real protective of the young. So the most common dragons you'll run into start in that guardian dragon category, which is roughly house cat size to up to about the size of a love seat. And then from there, they start getting bigger quick. And then that really depends on the type of dragon you're working with. Like within the first 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, I would say the average is maybe the size of a semi for the larger end until you get to the elemental rulers, which they're like the size of a mountain range. But then the higher elements, those dragons do seem to come in larger sizes naturally. And there are some even within the lower elements that are very large, like Torgra, which I did a video on. He's technically an earth dragon, but he lives in the water. And he's the size of a freaking island. So yeah, they're all over the place in sizes. Averages is kind of hard to nail down. There are dragons that work with the Fae, and there are dragons that spend a large amount of their time specifically dedicated to the fairy realms. And they do refer to themselves as fairy dragons. And those two come in all sizes, but they have very unique coloring patterns and whatnots about them. They're really gorgeous dragons, actually. They're also hard to keep on point. They are random as hell and hyper. No matter the size, they're random and hyper. Fairy dragons are some of the most difficult to keep on task. Squidward, that's where I knew the name from. See, I never watched a lot of SpongeBob, so that's where I know the name from. Oh, that's too freaking funny. Well, Mathis, you started working dragon magic. What'd you expect? I mean, your guardian dragon, once you meet it, he's going to be by your side 24/7. He doesn't leave. I mean, he may wander off to go get something and come back, but they're never gone long. They live with you. It's the larger ones that have to go elsewhere. Hey, David, good to see you, man. That was my point, David. Reality is a philosophical rabbit trail that, let's be honest, when you start trying to figure out reality, you become a dog chasing its tail. And not just any dog, like a really hyper dog that's going to chase its tail till it literally passes out. So we kind of have to decide what reality is for ourselves and use that as your measuring stick. And now that I've even said that, I'm not even sure how I would personally define reality. Luckily, I don't think my co-magicians has ever tampered with my vehicle. Now, the little guardian dragons, they do jump up and down in the back seat quite annoyingly. And they used to change my radio stations, which I didn't like. Cody, that's a good question. There are dragons that will reach out to us and connect with us, either just because they can help us in that moment or they're checking in on us for something random. Is it a guardian dragon or not? That's the dragons always told me never to assume that. But if you do the guardian dragon ritual, if that dragon is your guardian, it will be the one to show up. That'd be my best thing there for you. It's not unsafe to view it as a form of a guardian dragon, at least. But I'd still go ahead and do the ritual just to find out for sure, because the guardian you're paired up with is the one that's going to best benefit you all around. Well, David, if you look at the law of infinite universes and the law of magic, then my reality doesn't conflict your reality, because my reality creates its own universe in which my reality is real, and your reality creates its universe in which your reality is real. They overlap, but they don't conflict. Check out the law of magic video. ADHD is a really good way to describe those dragons, man. They really are, Elfram. Though, actually, I would say they have attention deficit shiny disorder. Though you could say they have ADHD and attention deficit shiny disorder, because they are literally that hard to. I mean, once they're working, if it's something they enjoy and you got them working on it, oh, they will just, and they're having a blast, they're having fun, great. The second they get bored, now you got a problem. I said it does help me to seek truth, and it is helping me find truth in things I do. But truth in and of itself, in the things that I apply to and I can manifest, yes, it gives me those truths. But when we go further into the multiverse, there's still a lot I'm learning. I'm not so egotistical to think I understand the full and entirety of the multiverse. Even on the physical side of things, I'm still learning, I would say. But it does allow me to seek certain energetic truths that I can utilize and apply. And that those truths do continually work for me. And I continually get results from them. Well, at least I'm not the only one whose guardians are screwing with his radio. Cody, no problem, man. You're welcome. Ultimate truth, I'm still looking for, David. I mean, if you want the secrets to the universe, if I had them, I'd give them. I'd also be rich for it. But at this time, I'm still seeking myself. Believe me, I wish I could nail something down better. And I do happily share the facts that I have that constantly work for me. But I also have to admit there's a lot of things out there I still don't know. I mean, actually, I know one person, he considers ultimate truth to be everything's constantly in motion and changing, thus nothing is a constant. And basically, for his mind, chaos itself is the truth. I don't really prescribe to that view of ultimate truth. It kind of goes against my whole scientific upbringing, but it gets hard. I'm not sure people will ever agree on what's ultimately real. I mean, seriously, I've never seen two people agree on pizza toppings. Jamie, I know bits and pieces of their lore, but I don't know enough of it to put it on a timeline. Though there are two entities that the dragons often refer to as the unknowables. Also sometimes referred to as the dragon and the dragoness, which, to my understanding, they are the original balance and the point where all of draconic kind essentially came from. And many of you who's followed my channel this year, I've recently been busting my head to do a ritual to work more directly with them. And it's like what we know as existence, they exist outside of. But beyond that, I don't have a lot of information on them. And in fact, I have so little info, I'm not even really willing to say that's the source. But there is that, and I do know that the dragons have reports of them popping up pretty much throughout human history, and that the dragons have spoken that they've worked on other planes and other worlds, so they have a long history. It's just dragons and keeping time, they're not good at it. They live so long, time has almost no meaning to them, so getting a timeline's difficult, though I am trying to put together something of a timeline. David, I don't know what to tell you because, yeah, there are commonalities we can agree on. And yes, I can take and I can put a spell work together where basically I do 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 and I get the same result every time. However, someone else could totally do the spell work and mess up the energy part of the equation and not get the same result. So when you're working outside the physical plane, it's not always 1 + 1 = 2. There's a lot of things that are in fluctuation that aren't always in fluctuation here. So you have to decide for yourself what your proof is. For me, my practice is results oriented and based. As long as I'm getting the results I'm seeking, then it's working. That's one reason I'm not a spiritual person, which I've said many a time. I don't do things on faith very well. So I need some form of tangible results at the very least. And if I'm getting that repeated tangible result, then I'm happy. But if you're wanting me to resolve your universal conflict, I'm not sure I'm the guy for that. Someone could say Jesus is the truth, and that would be for them to decide. I mean, me and Jesus, I get along with Jesus. I'm not going to worship him, but you also got to ask, what is that truth that Jesus is? I mean, sorry, it's not that easy, David. Stacy, no, actually, the dragons, I've not actually found an entity they are unwilling to work with yet. The only caveat to that is if for some reason you're working with a deity or an entity that just severely despises dragons for some reason. I haven't personally met one, but anything's possible. I know some people, view like Archangel Michael as a dragon slayer, so they say don't work with him and dragons. But oddly enough, in my experience when working with the Archangel Michael, he has no issues with dragons, none. They treat him respectfully. He treats them respectfully. They're willing to help the magician, pretty hands down. And so I mean, if you are worried about it, you don't need the dragon's approval. The dragon will work. Dragons are cool working with anybody. Now, the deity would be the one I would ask if you're going to ask someone. But like I said, so far I have not ran into any path that the dragons have an issue with or that had an issue with the dragons. And that includes Norse magic. I was actually a little worried about that once because you don't hear dragons talked about really well in Norse mythology at all. But yeah, it worked out really well. Jamie, that'd be pretty freaking cool, actually. That really would. I have to admit. A lot of my work's been getting this path working that they've been working on and presenting made public, which is the courses. So some of the more cultural details, like their history and stuff, once I get more time, I'm really wanting to dive into that. But hopefully, with this information becoming more public, maybe someone else can do that. Maybe you'll be the one to do that, which would be really cool. If anyone does what Jamie's talking about, hit me up, let me know. I'd be interested. David, I can't keep going over this with you. And no, I never said a deluded person wasn't deluded. Humans are flawed and there are crazy people. But that also doesn't destroy someone else's complete rationality of experience that they can tangibly, continually repeat. Yeah, actually, Freya, obviously, the go-to with any of the Norse is always going to be mead or beer. But Freya also loves wine, um, imagery of cats, amber, the fossilized amber. She loves that. Water. She actually really does actually enjoy water. Let's see. Food offerings. She's really big on natural sugars, so she loves any of those. And she does like her meats. It's been my experience she's kind of favors pork over beef, but she's not really too difficult. And always shiny jewelry. She likes that. If you got shiny jewelry, you can lay that out there. David, we're going to have to agree to disagree right now because, yes, in physical reality, 1 + 1 is 2. Outside the physical realms, that's not necessarily always true. All right, guys, let's not go down the religious road. I try to keep religion off this channel. But yeah, Jamie is right. It is a truth. And I don't want to get this lost down like I said, we can't get lost down that trail. I'm trying to catch up on some of the stuff here. Sorry. You guys are great tonight. No doubts about it. You guys are keeping me jumping and thinking. That's actually an interesting thought process there, Jamie. It is. Oh no, no. I was just warning because I don't want it to go down because religion can get ugly. And I try to keep dogma out. That's so we can focus on those nuts and bolts, that more collective side. And I don't want to alienate somebody for one reason or other. Though I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to meditate on your comment there, Jamie, that sons and daughters of God, the collective that you choose. That is actually something I find fascinating because in a lot of my research, I found out that the afterlife is actually based largely on your beliefs and the path that you walk. So that actually can't talk, matches up very much with, that little phrase you just said. If your pet water dragon is a dragon, yeah, all dragons can see other dragons. Rust, have I worked with Tiamat and did she appear as a dragon? Rust, yeah, I have worked with Tiamat in the past. And yes, when I worked with her, she did appear as a dragon. And she's actually one of the more interesting dragons I've spent time working with. Um, she is very much a chaos dragon, which, if you look into the mythology of what is it, Samaria or Mesopotamia or Babylon, that also totally fits with her, that whole creation destruction aspect. She does not view herself as divinity, though she will openly admit she has been worshipped as divinity. She is definitely a no-nonsense kind of gal. So if you work with her, be ready for hard lessons. Which, I mean, I know I say that about Chaos Dragons in general, but she's on the stricter end of Chaos Dragons. But she is a fascinating dragon to work with. Because I was actually wondering if she was the Tiamat of myth, or if it, is there more than one Tiamat? Those are some of the questions I've been trying to figure out. I haven't worked with her as much as I'd like to, though. I'm actually, there's a journal over here. I'm actually sketching out an entire path working with her. Okay, now, Mathis, that's a bit of a curveball because technically animals are very, very sensitive to the other side. And my wife's cats never had any issues seeing the guardian dragons running around. In fact, the cats would actually play with the dragons. Which, of course, meant at 3 a.m. the dragons and the cats are chasing each other through the house. Making a crap ton of noise. But I don't know about lizards. But if I based it off of animals in general, if the dragon manifests enough that its presence is felt, then yeah. And since animals see, every animal I've encountered appears to be very sensitive. I would say there's a high likelihood. No, Tiamat's not for the faint of heart. Actually, I recently got a hold of the Grimoire of Tiamat by Asimov Mason. Like I said, I am planning a path working. So I've always took interest in what other magicians have done prior. The very first page of that book is basically a warning. Flat out saying not for beginners and just, all that. So it's just like, ooh, okay. But that path working works with Tiamat as well as her, 13 children or 11 children, something like that. Which all her children aren't necessarily full dragons, which in and of itself is fascinating. That's not something you really see amongst dragons that often, is that hybrid mix of children. So she is definitely a fascinating chaos dragon. And she is definitely high up. Don't get me wrong. She is high up in the chaos dragons. But if you are wanting to work with her, just you be ready, because her idea of getting you used to something is like, if you're afraid of snakes, she's going to throw you in an Olympic-sized swimming pool of snakes. And that's her ideal of gentle. Because she could have used more snakes. Inhabit, yes. Take over, no. Dragons in and of themselves focus strictly on balance over all else. And to take over a habitat would not be balanced. So they won't do that. But they will move into a water source, especially water dragons. And depending on the body of water will depend on how big the dragon is usually and how big its territory is. So, it is possible. No problem. And even some of the older, larger dragons, if they find a body of water or an area they enjoy, they may not inhabit the body of water itself, but they may link their own layers to the water so that the body of water itself works as a way to connect with them and contact them. And then you got like the elemental ruler of water. That dragon can actually be contacted through any body of water on this planet. David, it's okay. I understand that you are seeking questions, and I just can't let one person dominate the chat. And much like I told Mathis on his question, the questions you're asking, we could spend lifetimes going on. And I honestly do wish I had the answers, man. I do. So no disrespect taken. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, no need to leave. Hang around. It's just I kind of have to moderate. It's a hard road, David. It really is. I'd be lying if I said when I left my religious path, everything was hunky dory. It wasn't. There was a lot of searching, and I basically had to figure out who the hell is Drake, because for the longest time I was defined by a religious structure, and so those truths, they're hard. And I don't know if it was you I talked to, David, about this, but a book that actually helped me a lot, and I even still read it anytime I'm struggling, is Modern Bushido by Bondi Sanders. You can find it on Amazon. It goes into different concepts of honor, truth, morality, wisdom. It is kind of a philosophical book, but it really did help me. And I mean, since you and I have been talking in the last month or so, you've been seeking hard. I have no doubt you'll find it. Because I mean, there's a lot of things that work for me personally that will not work for other people. Um, I'm overly logical in a lot of areas, and for some emotional people, that's not enough. They're not okay with that. They can't handle that, and that's okay. I respect that. And actually, if you saw me and my wife, it's crazy because I'm very analytical in my magic. I have a process. Everything is systematic. There is no system to her. None. Her magic is complete chaos. Whatever strikes her fancy when it strikes her. But she gets results. Take it easy, Stacy. It's good to have you. You're probably already gone. But I wanted to say bye anyways, now that I'm seeing it. Oh, you guys have forced me to flex my intellectual muscles tonight, and even my philosophical muscles. Ooh, which is good. Elephant arm, yeah. If you wanted to do a sketch of Torker, go right ahead. I know, I don't know if she's still on here, but Hollywood actually did a sketch of Torker when she worked with him. So I got an artist working on all the 9 rulers. We're actually doing evocation work where the ruler themselves is the only one that gets to approve the art. But that is such a massive project, whether or not the other 40, 50 something dragons I work with, whether they'll ever be done in artwork, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, if you want to, go right ahead. Heck, when you get it done, I'd love to see it. And if you check out the Discord, which most of the recent videos will have a link to the Discord below them. There's even a place where you can share your artwork with other students. We all love to see it. Ambient Tarot, hello, how are you? Oh, you heard me. Yay. Oh, you just woke up. Woo. Everybody, congratulate Ambient Tarot. If you remember, she's the one who won the drawing. Was that a week ago? It wasn't that long ago. That's the first consult I had where the consult had a person throwing questions at me that left me going over to try and find answers. That was kind of cool. And we should have another contest coming up soon because that one of a kind Dragon's Eye mug that got misprinted, we are going to do something about getting that too as a giveaway. I want to find a good contest for it. I have decided you cannot do an autograph and actually still use the cup. So if we include an autograph, the autograph will be on something else. I tested it on my actual coffee cup. I wrote something on the cup and it came off in the dishwasher real easy. So, but it is a misprint, so it is unique because the Dragon's Eye seal is upside down. And for those of you who are hanging around and didn't hear at the beginning, Friday I did tell everyone that if we hit 5K by Samhain or Halloween, I am going to let my wife pick my costume, do my makeup, and I mean, she can do whatever she wants. Wigs, it don't matter. She's free to go. As long as it meets YouTube standards, I will actually do whatever she wants and be on live stream wearing that. And worst of all, she actually plans to get Linda involved. So I could be in a lot of trouble. For all I know, I could be dressed up as a belly dancer or a geisha girl. I don't know. So yeah. So share the video, share the channel, get us to 5K so we can see me embarrass myself. David, you get some rest, man. Good night. Sleep well. Yeah, see, Origin, I'm pretty sure that's the direction my wife will go because the one ideal she pitched right now is a female video game character. So I don't know if she wants me to share exactly the ideal, so I'm not going to yet because I have to live with her. See, I knew somebody was going to ask. I can't share the details without permission. And so I have to keep it vague in what she's thinking until she gives me the go ahead. And she may want to keep it a surprise up to the stream, so we'll see. Yeah, I know. Tell you what I'll do, Vern. I will email her with the logic of if you all know what kind of torture she has planned, you might be more encouraged to reach the goal. We'll see if she'll buy that. What do you say? Although somehow I feel like I'm actually in working to help you all out. I feel like I'm working to hurt me. This might be a conflict of interest here. Yeah, Rust. There are some dragons in Conway's books that work with directly with the equinoxes. And I think Origin actually has the name correct. I'd have to double check it. I'm not super familiar with the names because those are really the main holidays that the dragons celebrate. Because they're more concerned with the natural energy shifts as opposed to all the different holidays we like. So the equinoxes and that trading up of the balance is really where they put their focus. I actually should do more work with the equinoxes because I'm wondering. The rulers ended up changing names. They don't use Conway's names. But I've not worked with the Equinox Dragons as much as I really should work with them more. Yep. See, I told y'all she likes natural sugars. Mangoes. I bet she would like mangoes. Strawberry. Now, I never thought of strawberry tea ambient. That's a great idea. I bet she digs that. I know I have a multi-berry mead that when I did the month-long possession ritual with her, she just could not get enough of it. She almost killed my whole supply. So, but yeah, that was. Now you got me wanting mangoes. Mangoes. Cool. Thanks for double checking, Origin. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with those names, so I really should do a video on those Equinox dragons. Why hasn't anyone yelled at me about not doing a video on the Equinox dragons yet? Believe me, in that particular situation, last call don't mean a whole heck of a lot. Because the way the ritual was, it was think of it kind of like a full month of invocation where she and I are sharing the same space. So it wouldn't be uncommon for me to sleepwalk and get what she wanted. And in fact, I remember one morning I woke up and there was an entire bottle of mead missing. That was actually during my work with Odin. He decided he wanted mead, and I was actually trying to avoid alcohol. So he just waited till I went to bed and went and got it. I do not know what a Drampa is. I am going to have to look that up now. I do play Pokemon, but I do not. There's like a huge section between the originals and Sword and Shield that I'm just not savvy with. So what the? Okay, I can see it. I can see it. Not gonna lie, I can totally see it. You throw a shell on that thing, and that's Torgor with a hairdo. I've never seen Torgor with long locks like that, though. I would love to. That would be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, you throw a shell on that, and you've got yourself a Torgor. That's pretty freaking cool. I am so glad you brought that up. I've seen it. I have seen a dragon with dreadlocks. I have seen it. All right, Origin. I will. You know what? Where's my pen? I got a pen here somewhere. All right, it's on the list. That is really cool. Now, see, you do have to wonder if the artist wasn't inspired by an actual dragon. There's so many times in Asian culture when they design something that it correlates so closely to what you find out when you're working with dragons. I seriously wonder if either A, they know they're working with dragons, or at the very least, there's a dragon whisper in their ear telling them what to draw. I really do. But I am so going to print that picture out and take that to the ritual room to show Torgra. And be like, look, you're a Pokemon, dude. Oh, that is great. That just made my day. Thank you. Which actually, the first 4 elemental rulers, the artwork for all of them is already up on the merchandise site. So if you go to workingdragonmystic.com and click merch, the artwork for all 4 of the first rulers is done and approved. Cora Allegra, the ruler of water, hers just got released, and it looks freaking awesome. I agree, Rast. Entertainment knows about the occult. Is that thing available in Sword or Shield, or is it one of the older ones? Because if it's in Sword and Shield, I'm totally naming that thing Torgra. Oh yeah, Conway's materials are really good. That's where I got my start. I mean, I've said it before. I know a lot of people find her stuff too fluffy, but that's where I got my start. And you should always respect, where you get your start and those who came before you. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. Literally, because she's actually the one that encouraged me. I was emailing back and forth with her 3 or 4 years ago about my research, and she actually encouraged me to publish. It makes me a little sad actually that I didn't get public until she passed, and that kind of, yeah. Sun and Moon. Oh, yep, I missed that one. Dang it. So, well. Origin, I never got to meet her in person. It was just through, communications and, a pen pal like thing. Um, she wasn't at all what I was expecting because when I first reached out to her, it was just one little question. And next thing I know, we're just writing back and forth. And she just had so much to share and talk about. And you could tell that a lot of her books were written in a style that she knew would be published and not necessarily in the way she worked. It was kind of weird because I got to know a different side of her. She is so cool. And she was so sweet. And it was really cool to talk to someone who her works with dragons were so drastically different than what the dragons were laying out for me that she was one of the first people to point out that the dragons are laying out the next step in the process, and that next step will not be what the first step was. Mathis, according to what she told me, she took her ceremonial training and her Wicca training, and she reached out to the dragons because both fairies and dragons had been around her playfully most of her life. So once she got to a certain point in her practice in those two areas, she tried to utilize them to reach out to the dragons, and it worked. So you can basically say the dragons taught her. And well, seeing how my own path unfolded very similarly, I, I, I believe it. Yeah. I mean, and that's the reason I said I hope whoever, all the people who take my class, they take that framework, and I'm hoping they'll be that next step even after me. Because the dragons aren't working for just, I mean, the path working they've laid out is strictly, it's how to get into dragon magic, how to connect with them so that they can work with you directly to, and at that point, I think magicians are really going to start defining this work in whole new ways coming out forward, which honestly for me was terrifying. You have no idea the fear I felt when I hit publish the day the class went live, because I know what the dragons are attempting, and they're utilizing me as a resource, and I'm just sitting here like, Drake, don't screw this up, don't screw it up, don't screw. It was a terrifying moment. Good night, Elfram. I'm actually going to have to hop off here soon, anyways. If Linda was here, she'd already be on me because we're way past the coffee hour. Oh, I did read her books. Like I said, she was where I got my start. The main reason I don't talk about it too much is I don't want people to think I'm piggybacking off her. I want my work to kind of stand on its own, though I do want to show respect to where I got come from. Until next time, Elfram, I appreciate you and your mom joining us tonight. That's still cool to me that you and your mom's watching this together. That's just cool. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up. So just so everybody knows, we've been getting a lot of questions about shadow work. And I've been saying a video would be coming. Well, this Tuesday, the shadow work video is coming. So the first in the shadow work videos is officially up. It's such a complex topic. I may do a second video later or more, just depends on how we do with that. Of course, next Friday, we do have the live stream for Research and Ramblings. And of course, next Sunday, Magical Coffee Hour. Hopefully Linda will be here because let's be honest, we laugh a lot more when she's here. She's definitely the funner side of the combo. And we do have a lot of videos coming out that's going to be focusing on Norse magic. And clearly some dragon videos coming out on the seasons, as well as I plan to be covering the other the first four rulers. So we got a lot happening. Oh, she's a hoot. Oh. But Magical Coffee Hour wasn't meant to be so intellectual. It was meant to be more fun. That's why I don't think I do a good job doing it by myself, but I know some of y'all look forward to it, so. Yeah, Jamie, I can. I can actually do some videos on how to incorporate dragons more in your magic. I'm actually wanting to do a few more spell videos and ritual videos. And you're right. That's actually something that is kind of missing from the videos, how to actually get those dragons working more directly in your magic. I mean, I cover it in the 101, the Dragon Magic 101 class, but that would be a good thing to cover in the videos. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, if you all remind me, I'll be happy to talk about some of that during the ramblings on Fridays. So, yeah. Yeah. My personal experiences, I'll be happy to. So, Jamie, if you're free Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when we'll do the Research and Ramblings live stream. Remind me then, because we are getting ready to wrap up here. Otherwise, I would, because if I get into story time, you can ask everyone. I won't shut up. It's a Southern thing. But yeah, remind me Friday, and I will definitely do that. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, that actually sounds like a fun little thing. So yeah, all right, cool. What's 100 minutes? Wait, is 100 minutes how long this been running? Yep. Oh crap. It does not feel. Y'all get to asking questions, and your questions are so interesting to me. It does. Time flies. I lose track. Y'all's great. You really are. All right, everyone. Yes, like Peachy said, thank you for coming. This has been an absolute blast. Remember to share the videos and the channel, get people coming so we can see what horrible tortures my wife and Linda will bestow upon me come Halloween. And everyone, you have a wonderful night. Ambient Tarot, it was great to see you in here again. And you're very welcome. All right. Good night, everyone. May your path always be blessed. Keep it magical. And as Linda would say, stay caffeinated. Bye-bye.